It's an NGO that promotes research and dialogue.
Right.
And they, at the time, they were developing a research on the perspective of the plight of women who have been trafficked into Cyprus.
Okay.
But from the perspective of the police and jurisdiction, basically. And they want to put together an awareness campaign.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So presumably there's some time between that. Does that NGO have a website? What I'm driving at is, the internet increasingly going to the point where entertainment, education, pop culture, shopping, NGOs, everything is all connected. The internet is the hub that connects everything, right? So it's interesting to me that in working with an NGO, with what it's doing and everything, your choice is still, in raising awareness, to produce something that people can hold in their hands.
Yes.
And presumably that's because you feel that is still the most powerful way to get people to engage with a story? Is that kind of implicit in your choice?
In Cyprus, yes.
In Cyprus?
In Cyprus, yes.
Okay.
Particularly. Mainly because it's a small community. The fact that we went word is mainly because that in Cyprus there are 3 official languages, English, Greek and Turkish. So we had to find a smart way of keeping the print costs down.
Right.
And so again, it was the printed form that had that emotional touch, let's say.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
I think also you have to bear in mind that there are other decisions made rather than creative ones where it is actually more expensive to go print if you're funding it yourself. You then maybe decide on print on demand, and then you put the onus on the people who are interested in your product to purchase it themselves, rather than you having to dive in at the deep end and print 2,000 copies that stay in your kitchen for a year. I think that goes back to what Sean was saying about using online as the initial promotional tool to then have the printed copy. And it's got nothing to do with one being better than the other. It's just, if you don't have funding, print is expensive, and it's very difficult to make that choice, even if you believe that's ultimately. I still like CD cases and booklet art. I think that's a nice little tactile extra quality that people who are downloading using now. It's like, what have you got? You've got a file name and a file size. There's nothing more than the music there. For me, having a comic still means something that I can literally roll up, put in my back pocket or hand out here and point, rather than thinking, can't get the Wi-Fi signal here, or it's £6 for 3 meg traffic, and you can physically transport it anywhere.
And bring it in the bath.
And bring it in the bath, safely in the bath. But yeah, the choices are such that if you have no budget or no one funding you, there is a very valid reason to go online. And that in itself gives you more creative freedom, unless you still want to go back and do the printed copy.
Yeah. So
there are lots of different creative choices, practical choices and production choices you have to make.
Yeah. But obviously, I mean, the DNA is still there. I mean, the idea is still there. The storytelling is still there.
Yeah.
So either you go web or print.
There are
still
some,
have to tell the story.
Still you need to get
there are
no
some,
matter what medium you use.
there are some stories that benefit from a slightly more complex technical approach where, and I'm very sorry I can't remember the name of the girl behind it, but it's a static image that fills the screen, and it's of I think it's of a bedroom, there's a broken window and some blood, and you click and you move into this. Right, so we know it's a complete. It would never work in print, but it's a very intuitive, interactive way of telling a story. And as much as I like big hardback imported French albums, that also excites me. I think each story and genre has its own benefits, but it would never work in the case of what Chris was doing, because it needs to be something tactile that you can hand to an audience.
It depends also, of course, it's all about communication and presence and finding ways to make people aware that this stuff is out there. So do you think that part of the reason that we're having this conversation is because print comics have increasingly become marginalized? And not necessarily because of the costs of producing them, but in terms of culturally marginalized, in the amount of respect they're given as a means of communication. But it's almost as if there's kind of a move to put them on the web because the web can kind of be taken seriously. There's an element of that.
It's a bit hard to say in the UK because I think it's the same I keep saying this, but the same 3,000 people that go to the events and probably are reading comics. But if you go to like France and Japan, I mean that's still like a massive audience. I don't know whether that's dwindling in popularity or sales. I have no idea, but that's been culturally embedded for, I don't know, I'm really bad at my maths, but 70 years. So, yeah, I don't think that's much of an answer. Really.
It's just thinking that, you used to have newsstands packed with comics, decades ago.
Well, that's W.H. Smith.
Well,
I think those are reasons that have nothing to do with any sort of form of creative choice. I think that's to do with distribution and markups and shops who should not be included in this conversation. Because I think simply because they're not interested whether it's print or digital. And I think that's why the market is struggling at the moment, because there is a lack of respect there, that when you go to continental Europe, they're much more embracing of the printed format.
But how do you expand your viewership on the internet? So if somebody goes into WX Smith, they can see whatever the shop.
If it's
they
shelved,
they can see the comics. So they know they can choose.
if it's
on the internet, how do you?
Well, there's many ways, isn't there? I mean, there's plenty of social platforms like Facebook, Twitter, that you rapidly build an audience with people. Whether they keep returning to it is up to you to still provide content and keep their interest. But
I was just going to say the project that I'm currently working on with my wife and some friends, we haven't even released anything except for initial preview artwork and what have you. We did the whole Facebook page, Tumblr, what have you. One particular image, which was only the black and white version of our poster, got well over 2,200 impressions on Facebook within a few weeks. That means permeated through light. We have 500.
Those people that know your name or looked you
No,
up.
I was working under a different name. I approached a small group of people who were not industry, not comic professionals at all, and were purely very specific female demographic. When you hear the project, you'll realise why. A small group of close friends who were predominantly female, and some of the people who were within the sport, and within about 4 weeks we were to 500 plus people still growing. And when you actually look at the insights into page impressions, likes, what have you, believe me, you do not need to have a comic being lost and misshelved on W. Smith's when you've got a social platform.
not that we hate W.H. Smith.
It's not that they're the only one.
No,